Welcome, Central Community, to the Central Unified School Board meeting for January 25th. Agenda item 1, meeting is called to order, and at 6:04. Attendance. Let the record indicate that Mr. Cervantes is with us via phone. All other trustees are present. Adopt the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Mr. Singh has made a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Brooks. Ms. Brooks has made a motion to adopt. All in favor? Oh, we have to have a roll call vote because of Mr. Cervantes. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo,
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes,
Yes.
Trustee Chan, Trustee Mailing,
Yes.
Trustee Paul,
Yes.
President Solis.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. Item D, communication from the public. Do we have any calls holding?
Would you like me to put 30 seconds on the clock?
Yes, please.
President Solis, can you please speak closer to the mic? It's hard to hear you on this side. Thank you.
Thirty seconds have passed, and we do not have any comments by phone at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. We will then move into closed session. All righty, we're reconvening from closed session. Ms. Davis, will you please report out?
Yes, on item E1, we had a motion by trustee Carrillo, second by trustee Chan, a vote of 7-0. Motion passed.
Thank you. Item G, pledge, Mr. Chan. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, so we have a presentation by Ms. Davis.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to present a plaque to our outgoing board president, trustee Yesenia Carrillo, in gratitude for your dedication to the children and community of Central Unified School District and serving 2 terms as president of our board. We want to make sure that you have something to remember it by, and so I'll walk it on over.
Thank you.
Would you like a moment to say a few words?
Sure. I just want to thank the board and the community for entrusting me and serving as your former board president, especially for 2 years. So just thank you very much, and I look forward to continuing to serve our community and to support our current president, Solis, as well as the rest of the trustees that I have the pleasure and privilege of serving, as well as our district staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, can you start calling out the agenda items with H?
Item H1, Foundation for Central Schools, Serena Dohi, Executive Director.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Thank you for having me here tonight. We ended off our year with the Warm for Winter event in November, serving over 2,100 students. And actually counting, we still have some jackets that we're distributing. We received continuous donations from the Knights of Columbus from St. Mary's Church just nearby. So we're very thankful for these continued donations from the community, but most importantly, being able to provide our students from every school site who were in need of a sweater or jacket this year. We also served over 3,600 people from Central Unified during the Holiday Joy Food Drive. That was our biggest year yet. Families received, yes, so thank you so much. Families received poultry like chicken, potatoes, bags of potatoes, oranges, corn, fresh corn, just a assortment of food for their holiday meals. And again, that took a lot of help from our sponsors and also our staff and students, child nutrition as well for moving the food. It was a team effort, and we are most grateful for that. This was our 14th year, and we're not stopping anytime soon. So definitely we look forward for another year of serving our community. At this time, we'd also like to welcome our new 2022 Executive Board. We have a new chairman of the board, Corbin Gunstream. Our vice chairman is Joe Doyland, Secretary Brett Caton, and Treasurer Sarah Ruiz. Director, Acting Superintendent Ketty Davis, and Board of Trustee President Mr. Richard Solis as a director as well. So we'd like to welcome everyone, and again, thank all of our board of directors for serving another year. Applications are available online, so if anyone of the community is interested of joining our board or just learning more about the foundation and what we do, our schedule of meetings is available on our website, and feel free to reach out to me and connect so that you can join us either virtually or in person. The 6th annual Janessa Ramirez Scholarship Awards is here. We are very excited to fingers crossed, host an in-person event this year on April 30th at Justin Garza High School. Tickets will be $25, and it will include a brunch as well as a keynote speaker to be later announced next week. The application for the scholarship will be available on January 31st this year. So that's a new date, and we want to encourage all of our seniors that are graduating this year and that are furthering their education to apply. There will be an essay contest as well as a micro-documentary option. This year we are giving away 10 $2,500 scholarships. So that has increased from 7 to 10 this year. And our next event, this is new this year, but we would definitely want to have everyone save the date. January 4th, we're going to host our first annual charity golf tournament. So we're doing something a little bit differently to end the school year. Information is on our website right now, and there is early registration as well. I'm sorry, June 4th. Our next meeting will be February 16th, and as mentioned, we are continuing the in-person and a Zoom option as well to accommodate anyone who'd like to join us. Information is available on our website at centralfoundation.org. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you, and thank you for all your hard work.
Next item is Employee Association highlights. Central Unified Teachers Association, we have Mrs. Judy Martinez.
Board, is it okay if we do CSEA first? We have Angie on the line.
Yes.
Hi, Angie. Can you hear me? This is Angie. Board, is it okay if we do CSEA first? We have Angie on the line. Angie, can you turn down your listening device? That way we can hear you loud and clear. Angie, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, Angie. Can you hear me?
No, I can't.
Angie, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. You're on with the board. Go ahead when you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, okay, thank you. Good evening, Cabinet and board members. My name is Ncaa Gary. I am now the president of CSEA. We now have a new board for CSEA. I'll read them to you real quickly. Our VP is now Alex Lopez. Our second VP is Philip Chacon. Our secretary is Amanda James. Treasurer is Brittany Steiner. And we will be working together, hopefully, with all of you and have a productive year. And I would just like to give a shout out to all of our classified employees for all that they have been doing. They are going above and beyond for our students through these difficult circumstances. And we look forward to working together with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, and congratulations on your elections. Thank you for your governing board and all your members for what they do for this district.
We also have Judy Martinez with CUTA. She will be sent over momentarily.
Thank you.
Hi, Judy. You're on with the board. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you loud and clear, and go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Hello?
Judy, can you hear us?
Judy, can you hear us?
If you're there, I can't hear anybody.
I just
Okay.
texted her
So
in case.
Ms. Carrillo just said that you can hear me, so I'm going to go ahead and begin. Thank you, Board Trustees. Thank you, President Solis. CUDA tonight. Simply just wanted to thank and acknowledge Ms. Carrillo's two-term leadership. We truly appreciate everything that you've done for our community and as a leader, as the president of the board. Thank you. As always, we thank all of you for your leadership. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez, can you call the next item?
The next item is I, Superintendent Board Communications. Acting Superintendent, Mrs. Davis.
Thank you. I've got a few different things that I want to share with you, and I want to kick it off first with congratulating our Ncaa national champions. Our cheer team returned from Dallas. You may have seen them on the news. This is the first time they have competed in the advanced co-ed division, and they are coming home national champions. So we're very pleased and proud of them. If we give them a round of applause as loud as we possibly can, with only so many people in the room. So congratulations to varsity cheer and pep team and their coaches for the hard work to get to the competition and come home with the title, and we look forward to presenting them to you as well at a future board meeting to celebrate them and continue that. Second up, our redistricting process is reaching its conclusion. Our community has until this Friday at 4:30 should they want to submit any maps. We want to make sure our community is aware of that. That is posted on the website, and we are eager to get any input by this Friday at 4:30 so that we can prepare and bring the item back to our board with a final recommendation at the February 8th board meeting to bring to you. Spelling Bee is alive and well. This week we have our elementary Spelling Bee this Friday in this location. And then the winners of the Spelling Bee advance to our county. So we'll keep you posted on that and wish all our spellers great luck and thank the team for arranging it to be a safe space for them to be in person and compete. As we know, and was just said by President Aguirre from CSEA, that the pandemic is absolutely affecting and impacting staff across the nation, and our district is no exception to this. I just want to take the time to acknowledge the work of our staff, everybody that is pitching in to help one another, to make sure our students are served, that food is served, that they're arriving to campus, that the campus is safe and ready. That the teachers are dually both helping those in class and thinking about those that are on independent study and make sure their needs are met. Just an incredible team, and so we are moving forward because of the work each of these individuals are doing, which leads me to the last notice, which I hope that you've been noticing on social media. Our social media team has kicked off this week a Great Kindness Challenge, and so each day it is a national initiative, and certainly our state has offered it up to schools to be involved, and we decided it would be great to lift that for the district, and so they're running the campaign district-wide. And so twice a day, challenges will be posted on different things that you can do. Today, Mr. Magallon, the two challenges for today in kindness were?
Be kind to yourself and have a healthy snack, and be to school on time.
So I did everything, but I'm not sure about the healthy snack. I got to think about that one. So we encourage you to participate as well. Just watch social media for what each of the events are. And it's been exciting to see pictures from our schools. If you watch social media, you can see some of those examples. Oh, and an apple has been found for me. Thank you. And so you can watch and see what our students are doing. And so it's just great amidst all of this to see the amount of people stepping up with students and modeling it for them, and students getting involved with each other. So thank you for leading that. That's all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Any board members have any communications that they wish to express?
Yes, Board President.
Ms. Creel, go ahead.
I just want to echo and congratulate our executive director, Ms. Stohe, in the work that she's been doing with the foundation and the directors as well. And I want to specifically highlight her and just congratulate her and the community for all your help, because that's a position that this board is paying for and approved. And I know that that was a lengthy discussion that we had about 2.5 years ago. And I think, from my perspective, it's been money well spent, and our district is really benefiting. I had the opportunity to participate in the food drive, the Joy food drive that we just had, and just hearing from our families that are really in need, it's amazing the work that we're doing. So thank you to all of our schools who participated, who donated, and to all of our administrators and staff as well who were out there joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, you can call the next item.
The next item is comments from the public.
President Solis, would you like me to set 30 seconds on the clock?
Yes, please.
Thirty seconds have passed, and we have no comments by phone at this time.
All righty. Ms. Lopez, can you call the next item?
Our next item is item K, consent agenda.
Ms. Davis?
Thank you. I just, prior to your motion, I'd like to draw attention to item K2, adopt resolution declaring February as African American History Month in alignment with our educational code. California Educational Code. February is designated as a month to recognize the contributions of African Americans in our community and in our state and nation. Thank you, our library teachers who are currently preparing different displays and activities to draw attention to contributions of specific individuals and celebrate those accomplishments. It doesn't only happen in February. As you know, each month are different resolutions, but I want to make sure you saw that on the agenda.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Paul? And a second by Mr. Chan. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo,
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes,
Yes.
Trustee Chan,
Yes.
Trustee Mailing,
Yes.
Trustee Paul,
Yes.
President Solis.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Lopez, can you call the next item, please?
Our next item is L1, accept gifts to the district. Mr. McLean.
Thank you. We do have a few gifts tonight to mention for Glacier Point Middle School. We received a donation of $250 from Avakian Insurance Services and $350 from Capital Waypoint LLC to be used for the purchase of girls' soccer team sweatshirts. The district appreciates these gifts, and we're recommending that the board accept these gifts to the district.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Any questions from the board? Not hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Ms. Carrillo,
Second.
second by Ms. Brooks.
Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo,
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes,
Yes, and thank you.
Trustee Chan,
Yes.
Trustee Mailing,
Yes.
Trustee Paul,
Yes.
Trustee Solis.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item 2, approve tentative agreement between Central Unified School District and California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 474. Mr. Collegian.
Thank you. A tentative agreement has been reached between Central Unified School District and the California School Employee Association, Local Chapter 474. The tentative agreement has also been ratified by the chapter. The attached contract includes a tentative agreement ratified by CSEA, establishing a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement through the year 2023. Administration is recommending that the board approve this item. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Paul, thank you. Second by Mr. Chan. Can you please call the item?
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mayling?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you move to the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 3, elect board member to participate on committee to study school names and mascots. Acting Superintendent Davis.
Thank you. Just as a way of introduction, you know the Committee to Study School Names and Mascots has already begun its work. At the time that we started this work, you identified 3 board members who would participate in this committee. The board president, one nominated by the board, and then also a rotating position. At this time, due to the elections in December, we are in need of selecting a new member and are happy to hear a nomination from any of you that could serve on this committee. The next meeting is February 3rd at 6 p.m. And there are 3 subsequent meetings at this point in time scheduled after that, 1 month apart, in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m. And so we are recommending that you nominate a member to serve on the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I'll go ahead and open the nominations.
I would like to make a motion to approve Vice President Chan to serve on the committee.
Do you accept, Mr. Chan?
So I was currently as a rotating, so then we would have to just open up it. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Mr. Chan accepts. Are there any other nominations?
Motion.
We haven't had, I need someone to, well, you did make the.
I made a motion.
Motion, so Mr. Cervantes seconds. Any discussions on the motion? Hearing none, can you please call the item?
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mayling?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item number...
Hold on just a minute. Ms. Davis, do we have to now set up someone to rotate in and out as well?
Rotating, we're doing by alpha order, and so
Okay.
we'll just give
that-
each of you a heads up on who the next individual will be and what the meeting dates are for you. So.
All righty. Congratulations, Mr. Chan. Can you call the next item?
Next item is number 4, discuss and approve district superintendent job description. Mr. Collegian.
Thank you very much. On the 19th of January of 22, staff was asked to bring forward the current superintendent job description for possible review and or revision. The job description itself is attached for your review and discussion. It is important that the job duties and requirements, especially in the area of education and experience section, be reviewed for possible changes prior to the district entering the search process. Administration is recommending the board discuss, amend, and approve the district superintendent job description. Happy to answer any questions the board may have. This item is now open for dialogue, discussion. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel.
Well, mine are more comments than questions. And I have 2 general ones and then lots of sub-comments. So I personally believe that we need to revise this job description. First, I think we need to include either following the board relations and policies or after personnel, include some line related to the responsibilities and duties to increase or oversee student success. The job description, in my view, does not significantly highlight that responsibility. And I think it's something that the board has repetitively talked about, that it's really important for us to have. As far as education and experience, I would like to revise the current language so that it says either to remove the requirement that it be superintendent experience or assistant superintendent. I understand that other districts may not have those same job titles, so I think either district experience or something to that effect should be required, but I think that we're limiting who we are trying to attract if we require that their job title include superintendent in it. I think we need to revise it to require that they have instructional education. We've talked about the importance of either working or having previous experience in student achievement and success, and I think that our next superintendent needs to really have that qualification. Those are some of the larger items, and I'd like to hear whether there's anyone else on the board that agrees or disagrees, and to have a discussion about this. Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Nice.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the exception of the teaching experience. I think the way it's written currently is teaching experience preferred is adequate. I think there are plenty of examples all over the country of administrative folks that come out of maybe a different area than instruction that are successful as superintendents. So I think it's adequate the way it is, and that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Cervantes?
I'd like to just concur and agree totally with Board Member Carrillo.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chan?
One suggestion I would have is just to look at the requirement or have a discussion about the valid California driver's license, just because we are talking about a firm that does attract talent from all over, that at least maybe a valid driver's license as opposed to a California driver's license in terms of our requirements.
All righty. Is there consensus on the driver's license part? Yes?
I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but in all reality, I think California law has a provision in their vehicle code section that says something along the lines that within change of residency to California, you have to change your driver's license within 30 days. So if we're talking from a perspective of we want to attract the most diverse and qualified group, I have no problem with amending that, just keeping in mind that what the board isn't saying is that you don't have to ultimately obtain your California driver's license in compliance with the law. So
I just read it as understanding that prior to your, I guess, application, that you have to have these requirements. But I may be reading it incorrectly. But that's how I generally read requirements, that prior to application, that you have to check off these things.
I agree, and to that same point, something that I missed was removing the doctoral preferred. I highly want to lobby the removal of that for the exact same reason that Trustee Chan just highlighted. So with that, I would have no objection, just wanted to make that comment related to the driver's license.
All right. I think we have consensus on the driver's license. It's basically a move to increase our applicant pool. So, Ms. Lopez, do you have that for the driver's license, the change?
So the change will read just valid driver's license?
Mr. Chan?
Correct.
Yes.
I've got it.
Ms. Carrillo, where exactly did you want to put in your earlier suggestions on the document? Were you thinking about moving all the items A, move 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the rest of them down, and making your original statements a new 2? Would that address your concerns?
I mean, yeah, it can be placed anywhere. In my notes, ideally, I was going to suggest after personnel. I don't think that unless when the previous board made this list, it was listing it based on a hierarchy of importance. In that sense, then I would say absolutely it needs to be the first item.
All righty, so you're saying you want it on B, personnel. Can you please go through the items one more time for Ms. Lopez, can write it down?
So I would just like to add language that says that part of their responsibilities would be to improve student achievement and to ensure the development of innovative instruction to help at-risk students, students with disabilities, and low-performing students, and maintaining high performance of our current students. I can give you my notes if that would help,
Thank you.
assuming the rest of the board agrees.
Discussion on her, well, I'm going to take it as a motion. And discussion on her motion. Any comments? Hearing none, can we call the item for the additions to the description?
I need a second.
Oh, sorry. Do we have a second? Mr. Mailing.
I second it. Board Member Cervantes, second.
Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. We already have Mr. Mailing.
Great. I couldn't hear.
And so it's going to be approve the job description based on the 2 amendments that were made.
Yes.
Well, I think we're just approving the current items, right? We're
Yes.
going to continue our discussion.
So the item that will be added in item B for
Yes.
the personnel, as far as part of responsibilities, approve student achievement.
Yes.
And then for the driver's license, we are removing California.
Yes.
Correct.
Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo,
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes,
Yes.
Trustee Chan,
Yes.
Trustee Mailing,
Yes.
Trustee Paul,
Yes.
President Solis.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Any additional things that we want added or deleted?
I wanted to return to Trustee Carrillo's suggestion to have doctorate preferred, to have that stricken. I also, I also agree in terms of increasing our candidate pool from the beginning.
All righty.
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear what the comment was.
Under educational experience, the last item is doctorate preferred. He wants to strike that requirement. He feels that will increase our application pool.
Strike the preference.
I see, okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Not the requirement, just the preference.
So you're saying you want to keep the doctorate, just not the preference, or you want to?
No, I just want to remove that, because it's not a requirement currently, it says doctorate preferred, I want to completely remove that line.
All right. So he wants to line out doctorate preferred. Discussion? Ms. Creel?
Well, I was going to suggest if maybe we should talk about the line item regarding teaching experience preferred. I know Trustee Paul talked about not removing it, but I think we were saying, I feel like the response you gave was saying the same thing I said, but just differently. So I wanted to make sure whether we could have a discussion, unless President Solis, you want to just make a decision on that item first.
No, let's have a discussion. I want to hear.
I can clarify. I thought you wanted it to be a requirement as
Yes.
versus preferred.
Correct, I did.
You
Okay,
do,
so we do
okay.
disagree, okay,
So we do disagree.
yes.
Mr. Takesian, as the HR person, you have any statement you want to make about the preferred?
I've had this discussion before, the previous time we did this, and it was essentially where we landed. The term preferred collectively, we didn't eliminate prospective employees from applying. Although to Trustee Chan's point, will it deter them from applying with terms such as doctorate preferred, master's degree preferred? Those are the ones typically in job descriptions up and down the state are common. You will see the term preferred for typically master's degree, typically the doctorate, typically bilingual. The one that President Carrillo referred to, however, I've seen go both ways. It depends on the wishes of the board ultimately, whether they want their superintendent to have teaching experience or not. Most of the employees we see typically do have teaching experience. That's why the term preferred was there based on the last time we updated this item. But if it's important for the school board to have a superintendent with teaching experience, then it's important for that term to read required. So we do eliminate, those who don't have the experience wouldn't apply essentially for this job. I think that's something that the school board should discuss thoroughly, determine whether that's important to them. I'm comfortable with the term preferred for master's degree, and I'm comfortable with striking the term doctorate preferred, and site level experience. That was an important one too. I think the last time we discussed this when in our previous board meeting with the firm, if I remember correctly, I thought at least consensus-wise, most of the trustees believed that having administrative experience at the school site or some level of experience was important. So that's something that probably requires some discussion here tonight. Regarding the first line there, district level experience, we can certainly make a phrase there that includes other district level positions outside of the ones listed there as a requirement. I don't see any particular issue with that, if that makes sense. But maybe we could start from the top and kind of work our way down to see what how the board feels about specifically each one of these items, and go through that as an exercise.
Would the board be open to that? Yes? Okay, the first one is district experience, superintendent, assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, and deputies.
Yes, so I would recommend that either after or deputy superintendent or similar experience required. Alternatively, we can say district or administrative level experience. Both or either I'm fine with. My point is, I'm not looking for just a superintendent. I mean, if they don't have experience in that, but they have all the other qualifications, they have instructional experience, they can satisfy all of the other requirements, they have experience in particular with improving student performance in low-performing schools. I mean, that to me is really, at the end of the day, is what I'm looking for. So I just want to make sure that we can capture that, given that each district will categorize those positions very differently.
Can you be precise on the wording that you want on that section there?
I would recommend that after or deputy superintendent or similar experience, so just adding or similar.
Or similar.
That suffice. I think that language will work.
All right. Does the board have consensus on that? If I don't hear an objection. Mr. Maley?
No, I'm okay. So that would eliminate the second one, superintendent experience required then, correct?
All right. So there's consensus on that. Moving on to the next one, superintendent's experience required? Oh, okay. So, Mr. Malin, you had something? Okay. So the next one would be teaching experience preferred. And if I understand Ms. Creo, she wants the preferred deleted?
I want it to either be required, or I could be convinced or support the majority of the board if we want to keep it as preferred. I understand Trustee Paul's position. I think I didn't get the last part where you said that it's common for other positions or other superintendents just to have it preferred or not to be required?
It's I don't think it's necessarily unusual to see an administrator rise up that might have come from facilities, for example, that has been in the educational field for a long time and has the support of assistant superintendents that can backfill that experience requirement. And I think what that would do, potentially, again, would narrow our pool. Probably not most of the time or significantly, but I think this is adequate. Thank you.
Any other statements on this point? Mr. Maley?
I agree. I like the preferred explanation.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I ask Mr. Collegian, just in terms of, or anybody else for that matter, but in terms of as far as the history of Central Unified, is Mr. Berg sort of one of the only superintendents that did not have teaching experience prior, or were there others that you're aware of?
Mr. Berg did come from the facility side, the business office side. He did not hold nor a teaching or related administrative credential, but did at that time qualify. Not uncommon for CBO likes, facilities, business background individuals to apply for positions like this. But going back to the needs and the profile of the superintendent based on how this school board, what the school board is looking for ultimately. Now, adversely, if we kept it preferred on the teaching side, generally speaking, the pool of aspiring superintendents who apply for such positions, most have educational backgrounds. I think that's fair to say. If that helps make any of the conversation we're having here tonight easier.
Thank you.
Well, as I see it, we have one side that wants it to stay as preferred and the other side that wants it to make a requirement. Is there a halfway measure where we just leave it as preferred?
If that's the wish of the majority of the board, I will concede.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure, just speaking right now on your idea. I think teaching experience for a supervisor is essential. They're going to be supervising and monitoring the supervisors that are supervising the teachers. How can they really do that without a lot of knowledge in teaching itself? So that would be my argument for having it required. The only way I can see that we're going to see what the majority is you want to do a quick hand show of where we are to see which way we'll go? All right, then. All those in favor for leaving it as preferred, raise your hand. We have 3 in favor, 4 in favor of leaving it as is. Mr. Cervantes?
Required.
Required. And I would go along with required.
And so would I.
So we have 4 for leaving it as preferred, so the preferreds have it. So we're going to leave it as preferred.
Can we discuss, and I'd apologize, but I don't really feel sorry to put President Solis and Trustee Cervantes on the spot. Can you guys share a little bit of what the discussion was when teaching experience, site level administrative experience preferred, and what the distinction between that and the district level experience, what the discussion was or the thoughts were?
Mr. Cervantes, would you like to answer that question?
I'd love to. And I'm not sure I'm going to answer it in the way that it was posed, but I'm going to go and revert back to what our initial statement was in regards to having a strong desire from the board with a consensus to have somebody that had a strong teaching background with a proven track record of increasing test scores? And how do we list the job and not make that a requirement? How do we ask that of somebody who's contemplating applying for the job, and we're almost talking out of both sides of our mouth, as far as I'm concerned? It should be a requirement. Preferred is vague.
That's more or less how I remember it. Do you have a statement, Ms. Creel? Or a request?
Well, I mean, I feel bad putting Assistant Superintendent Collegian on the spot again, but
Happy to, just if I can recollect. But yes,
can you, I guess I want to make sure that I understand in the education realm, what does site level administrative experience mean? Like, what does that actually translate to somebody that's looking at this job description?
So the original language there was principal experience preferred or required. That was the original discussion. Meaning, was it important at that time, where the job description was carried over from the previous one, that the superintendent at the time, in that search process, there was a preference that that person was a principal prior to their role as a district leader, prior to their role as a superintendent. We changed that term then to site level, because in some cases, a assistant principal, a deputy principal, a vice principal, who then went to district level position and maybe entered a assistant superintendency, associate, et cetera, and would qualify essentially if the term, site administrative experience was required. That term then changed to preferred, and the term from principal experience went to site level administrative experience. So that's kind of the short history behind it, if that makes any sense.
But doesn't that preferred become irrelevant when we have district level experience and we list superintendent, assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, deputy superintendent, or similar? Because I don't necessarily think of anything similar equating to a principal. Again, I may just be...
So if this example would be, to your point, would be classroom teacher or school psychologist, site level, teaching position, then that position went to a program specialist position at the district office or a assistant director of some sort, and didn't have site level administrative experience. So if that term was required there, that particular person whose profile I just spoke to wouldn't qualify for this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't necessarily have an opinion one way or another. I'm fine with that item being there.
Well, I think having a preferred would be consistent with what the majority of the board has been saying tonight, that they want to open up, keep the pool of applicants as broad as we can to bring in a big net to see how many applicants we get.
Right.
So with that, unless there is any opposition, I would say leave it as is. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and do that. With that, those are the Is there any other changes that any board member wants to make to the description?
I'm reviewing my notes very quickly. Thank you.
Take your time.
So one other thing, and maybe it's because it's just a given and it's written into the assistant superintendent's contracts, but under personnel, it doesn't address anything about evaluation of assistant superintendents or area administrators, or really any evaluation.
I think it's more of an maybe not as concise as language you're looking for, but organizes, administers, supervises, and evaluates the operation of district schools and services. It's loose there. Certainly, we could add something there regarding and district personnel of some, perhaps.
Yeah, I would recommend that. I mean, they are the individual evaluating. I don't think it's detrimental. I mean, since it's written in the other contracts, I wanted to kind of hear whether anyone else was concerned about that. Any other trustee?
I just see it as a repeat because it's already in the superintendent's contract. Any other board members? Mr. Chan? Mr. Mailing?
Okay.
All right. Are there any other wish changes or proposal of changes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve with the submitted changes, superintendent's description.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Ms. Carrillo and a second by Mr. Paul. All those in favor, I'll strike that. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mailing?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 5, approve California Education Partners collaborations. Mr. Garrett.
Good evening, President Solis, members of the board, and Acting Superintendent Davis. This item returns from the previous board meeting. Administration is recommending approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion approved by Mr. Cervantes. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Chan. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mailing?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 6, approve school accountability report cards. Dr. Boatwright.
Here we go. Good evening, Acting Superintendent Davis, President Solis, and members of the board. This item returns from the last meeting. We recommend approval after answering any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel?
One question. The reports are slightly different as far as the content, right, because of the pandemic? Or reporting, or why do they not include all the typical statistics that they typically include?
So there was a great deal of information that was uploaded from the state since I brought these for information 2 weeks ago. There are still a couple of items that are missing. Once those items are uploaded, then what we'll do is pull down the SARCs and then repost them with those pieces.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Ms. Creel? Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Ms. Brooks? Could you please have a roll call vote?
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mailing?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Could you please call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 7, approve new secondary courses. Dr. Boatwright.
This item also returns from the last meeting. We recommend approval after answering any questions that you may have.
Questions from the board? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Creel.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cervantes. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan? Yes. Mr. Mayling?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Could you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 8, approve student service contracts. Mr. Paliugi.
Good evening, trustees. President Solis, Acting Superintendent Davis. This item returns from the last meeting, and we currently recommend that it be approved after any questions.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So
I
moved.
so move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Cervantes and a second by Ms. Creel. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan? Trustee Mayling?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 9, hold public hearing and approve Williams Uniform Complaint Procedure. Mr. Horseman.
Good evening, President Solis, trustees, Acting Superintendent Davis. Tonight, we will hold a public hearing to approve the Williams complaint procedure. We do have one finding in the category of teacher vacancy or misassignment. We are working to resolve that as quickly as possible. I'm happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Oh, sorry, we're going to go ahead and open a public hearing. Do we have to have a motion to open the public hearing? No. All right, so we'll open up the public hearing.
We have no comments by phone at this time.
All right, let's give them 30 seconds.
"30 seconds have passed, and we have no callers or no comments by phone at this time.
All right, we will close the public hearing. And now we were going to take, Ms. Davis, a vote to approve. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Paul, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Brooks. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan? Yes. Trustee Mayling?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Can you call the next item?
Moving on to the information items. Information item number 1, receive Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report 2020-2021. Mr. McLean.
Thank you. So it's the time of year when we receive the Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report for the prior year, which is 2020-21. This is a requirement under the Ed Code and Proposition 39 for our Oversight Committee to review the expenditures and to prepare an annual written report to the board. And so tonight we have returning again to present the annual report is Mr. Joe Doyland. He is currently the vice chair on the committee, and I have him available via phone here, so I'm going to put him on and let him provide the report to you and then answer any questions. Mr. Doylan, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much to the Board of Trustees and Acting Superintendent Ms. Davis. And I'd like to say to President Solis and Acting Superintendent, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be first on informational items. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much. As a Bond Oversight Committee member, we are presenting you with today the 2020-2021 annual report. The Citizen Oversight Committee has gone through the report, and the audit was done back on January 5th of 2022 over Measure B and C that ended for this fiscal year on June 30th of 2021. The annual report was an independent performance audit conducted, and the report came back with under Measures B and C with no findings at this particular time. And if you're asking yourself why was not Measure D involved in this particular process, was that during this particular fiscal year, Measure D was not acted upon during that particular time frame. So that was not being affected, so it's just Measure B and C. As you can see in the audit report of yourselves, you do have some issue or some of the summaries that was given regarding bond Measure B, the different series that were presented through over the past several years, and the amount of expenditures of that particular time through June 30th was over $4,036,903. Under bond Measure C, there were 3 issuances starting in 2017 through 21, and those expenditures as of June 30th for 2021 for that particular year was $964,698. Based on the review of this annual financial performance audit and information received, Central Unified School District, there is no complaints or requirements of Article 13, Section 1, so and so forth. But at this particular find, the committee found no findings under this particular audit, and we are presenting this report to you guys today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McLean, Mr. Boland. Appreciate all your hard work. Ms. Lopez, can I call the next item?
Next information item is number 2, receive Measure B and Measure C, performance audits and financial statement audits for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021. Mr. McLean.
Thank you. And so just following up on Mr. Doylan's comments, we have 2 audits that take place every year for each school bond measure. And again, we're covering Measure B and Measure C in 2020-21. So there's a performance audit that looks at the expenditures. The auditors, which is the same auditors that do our district audit, take a sampling of expenditures, and they look at quite a bit of the expenditures, and to ensure that the expenditures were done in accordance with the wishes of the voters and what was in the bond language in the original election. There's also a financial audit, as you would see on any other entity that looks at the fiscal operations that took place. And again, as was commented before, there are no findings, and the audit indicated that funds were spent properly in accordance with the wishes of the voters. So we would recommend that the board receive the report, both reports for Measure B and Measure C. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we receive your report. Thank you very much. Can you please call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 3, receive information regarding revised board policies. Mr. Collegian.
Thank you. Attached, you will find board policies that have been revised in accordance with recommendations by Gamut and the California School Board Association to reflect compliance with state and federal laws. Two policies attached for your review. They are Board Policy 41128, 43128, which covers employees of relatives. The summary to that one is attached to this item as well, and essentially reads that the updated language is to remove, quote, relatives include any relative living under the same household as the employee. The second item is Board Policy 4216, titled Probationary Permanent Status. Again, there's also a summary attached to this item. The policy is to update the Assembly Bill 1353, which shortens the length of the probationary period in non-merit school districts for classified employees from 1 year to either 6 months or 130 days of paid service, or whichever is longer. Administration is recommending this item to be placed on the February 8th, 2022 board agenda for action. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board?
I have comments.
Mrs. Creel?
Thank you. So BP 4112.8, this is the personnel employment of relatives. It's more for discussion amongst the board. I would recommend that in the paragraph, I guess it's the fourth paragraph that begins with, in addition, the superintendent or designee may determine on a case-by-case basis whether to appoint a person to a position in the same department or facility as an employee with whom they maintain a personal relationship. You can read the rest. To add a sentence that says that the board is to receive notice of such an appointment. The second part of this, and again, it would just be more for discussion with the board because I'm conflicted as to where I stand, whether the board wants the authority to potentially override if we believe that there's a conflict. I don't think, at least during my tenure with the board, that we've ever really had any of those situations. Typically, administration has been great at identifying when there's a conflict in placing that relative, but I just wanted to bring that up to the attention of the board. But I would like to recommend, and if there's consensus and support from the board, that we include just one sentence that says that the board is to receive notice of such appointment.
Thank you. Discussion on her comments? Ms. Davis, do you have an opinion?
I think that's a practice that we've had in place, and it's very reasonable to do so.
Okay, can staff make the necessary alterations to the policy?
Yes, we could certainly add that sentence in that paragraph, and I just, in reading the paragraph now, I just realized that the last sentence of that paragraph has a little typo in there as well. We will eliminate the word "the" and keep there, and add the sentence that reads, to qualify the paragraph, that the board is to receive notice of such appointment.
Ms. Creel, will that be satisfactory?
Indeed it will. Thank you,
All
President
right,
Solis.
thank you. With that, thank you for the information. I'll place the item on the agenda as an action item for the next scheduled meeting. Next item.
Next item on the agenda is information item M4, receive information regarding field trips. Dr. Boatwright.
Good evening once again. Requests for overnight field trips and day trips more than 150 miles must obtain approval from our board. Requests for overnight field trips are attached. Administration is recommending this item be placed on the February 8th board agenda for action, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'll strike that. I'll go ahead and place it on the action agenda for our next meeting.
Thank you.
Call the
President
next item.
Solis, I'm sorry, if there's no objection, can we have it returned under consent since it's routine unless there's a particular concern with the item?
Ms. Davis, is there a reason why staff was asking for it to come back as action?
No, we do that customary. We only ask action and allow you to determine whether it would go to action or consent.
All righty.
We'd be happy to recommend consent on items like this.
All right, then. It will come back as a consent.
Thank you.
Yes. Next item.
Next item on the agenda is item number 5, receive information for employee out-of-state travel. Mr. Garrett.
All right, good evening again. Tonight I am bringing for information travel requests for the activity directors at El Capitan Middle School, Glacier Point Middle School, and Central East High School to attend the Ncaa State Conference. That stands for the California Association of Directors of Activities. This conference will take place in Reno, Nevada, March 2nd through March 5th, 2022. The Ncaa State Conference is the largest event in the nation for activity directors. The Ncaa organization teaches and develops leadership skills that students will use for the rest of their lives as they learn to serve their schools, communities, and families. This conference provides our activities directors additional tools and skills to do this work, and the opportunity to collaborate with other activity directors from across the United States. All state and local COVID-19 guidelines will be enforced. Attendees are also being required to provide proof of current vaccination status, and masks will be required at all indoor sessions. Administration is recommending this item to be placed on the February 8th agenda for action, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel.
Thank you. I know you mentioned that COVID-19 protocols are being followed. Are we implementing the same procedures or notice that we're doing for like student travel, where we're notifying employees, even if when this item returns to the board and if approved by the board, we're still giving you the authority to cancel if the conditions change, even if folks are vaccinated, just based on the ever-evolving conditions of the various COVID-19 strains?
Yes, absolutely. Sites are aware that we're monitoring current conditions, and that could change depending on those conditions at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless I hear otherwise, I'll bring this back as a consent item on the next agenda. All right, can you call the next item?
Next item on the agenda is item number 6, receive information regarding Emergency Connectivity Fund technology purchase. Mr. Horstman.
Thank you, President Solis, Trustees, Acting Superintendent Davis. The FCC's Emergency Connectivity Fund program will help provide schools with the tools and services their communities need for remote learning during the COVID-19 emergency period. To support students who are learning at home and the devices to support that learning, we pursued ECF funding to expand our school-to-home program. This fully funded grant provides 2,000 Chromebooks with internet connectivity that will immediately be used at the online homeschool and other students who are learning at home. These do not replace our current classroom devices. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel.
I have a comment. I just want to commend our staff for finding grants and opportunities to upgrade our systems, especially right now, since we don't know how long we're still going to need to have access and continue to provide technology to our students. So thank you very much for this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited that this opportunity came along and we grabbed it.
I just wanted to second Trustee Carrillo's comment, Mr. Horstman, and to the staff. And obviously, the governor and the president are both putting broadband as a sort of priority of both of theirs. And I'm sure there'll be more in the pipeline, and hope we keep on finding these opportunities. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen our community needs, the connectivity at home. And so we're excited to be able to continue to provide that.
Can I make one last
Yes.
question? Just so that it's clear to our community, we're not short these devices. We're going to be replacing them. So currently, all of our students have a device, or any student who needs a device has been provided a device, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Now, these devices are actually good until year 2029. And so long-term, our hope is students won't need a device at home forever, but long-term, this would provide for students that not only need a device immediately, but also, provide for our community long-term.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unless I hear an objection, I'll put it on the next scheduled agenda as a consent.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Can you call the next item, please?
Next item on the agenda is item number 7, receive information regarding resolution number 2122-30, authorization to submit grant to San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. Mr. Bath.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Before you is a resolution that will allow the district to apply for a school filtration grant, specifically for 3 schools: Pathway Community Day School, Pershing Continuation High School, and Madison Elementary. Administration is recommending this item be placed on the February 8th board meeting for approval or for action. after I answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and place this on the next scheduled agenda as consent.
Next item on the agenda is item number 8, receive information regarding bid number 1415-105D, Central High School Water Storage and Pumping Facilities Project. Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. I'm getting Mr. Martinez on the line. He's not available to be with us in person tonight, but he's going to be joining us via phone. Hi, Mr. Martinez. You are on with the board, ready to go. Can you hear okay, Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Would you like to go ahead and introduce the item, or?
Sure. Which item are we on, Steve?
So we're on the, excuse me, on the water, the bid project for the bid 1415-105D.
Okay. Sorry, it's under the person I was on the line for the question.
Yeah.
I was going to introduce the item.
Yeah. That's fine. I can go ahead and introduce the item. So.
Yeah, I don't have the agenda.
Okay, I got it. Okay. So this is, we recently did a bid for construction of a new potable water storage tank and booster pumping station at Central High School. The bids were opened on January 18th, just last week. And the low bidder was Steve DeValley Construction at $3,255,678. This is a project that is funded by the State Water Resource Control Board grant that has been awarded to the district. And this is the next phase, which Mr. Martinez can talk about a little bit more later in the process of completing the projects that were begun several years ago. These construction costs would be funded in advance by the district and then submitted to the State Water Resource Control Board for reimbursement. And we are recommending that this item be placed on the next agenda on February 8th for action, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel.
Thank you. Okay, so I know you mentioned that this is a project that has been going on for some years. I recall, since I've been on the board, there was another item that we had approved. So can you just explain, because my knowledge of pumps have to do with dwellings, which is you hire someone, they put in a pump, you're done until you need to dig deeper. Can you just explain a little bit more as to whether this is like a multiple phase project, or why we continue to have these items and we haven't resolved the issue with the water pump at Central?
Mr. Martinez, were you able to hear the question?
I was not. It sounded muffled.
Okay, sorry. Let me repeat the question. Just kind of go back into the beginning of the project and how it came about and the phases and the phase that we're in now at this point in time.
Sure. The project came about during some regular testing and sent to the State Water Resource Board that there was contaminants in the water that is at the Central High School, formerly West Campus, and at the West Art Center. Because of that finding, there was a grant that was applied for and received from the State Water Resource Board that allowed the district to drill a new well at Central High School, continue a pipeline over to the West Art Center, which is off of Jameson Avenue and McKinley Avenue. And in addition with that project, install storage holding tank, water treatment, booster pumps to have a complete well system. This is a 4-phase project. The first phase consisted of a pipeline through the campus. Second phase consisted of the drilling of the well. Third phase consisted in its pipeline from the Central High School to West Art Center. And the fourth and final phase is to install the holding tank, water treatment, booster pumps, and to perform all the tie-ins to complete the water system of the new well.
And I know you said this, but this bid is what phase of the project?
This is phase 4.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Paul?
Thank you. The state has a requirement for a certain amount of storage for the school. Is that correct?
Were you able to hear the question, Joseph?
No, it still sounds muffled.
Okay, so the question had to do with the requirements that the state has for a certain level of water storage? Or is there a requirement?
So there is a certain requirement by DSA for firewater. And because this water system will be utilized as firewater for fire sprinklers, our fire sprinkler system on that site, and for future expansion, there was a minimum requirement. I don't know off the top of my head what that minimum requirement for gallons is, but the storage tank that we will be installing is a 200,000 gallon storage tank system.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Board Chair Solis, I have a question.
Mr. Cervantes, proceed.
Thank you. I just had a question in regards, this is a bid, and I think you, in your presentation, you alluded to this was the lowest bid, but was there any other bids that were not potentially attached to our agenda? And if they were, who were they?
So I'll grab that one. There was several contractors that did come to the pre-walk to consider the bid. When the bids were due on the day that they were due, just the one bid was received, Mr. Cervantes, and that's the one that's presented.
So no one else bidded? No other contractor bidded?
That's correct. Several were there at the meetings and took a look, but on the day that it was due, we received the one. And it did fall pretty close to in line with what we were expecting. We know that in this time period that some costs are going up just because of prices and raw materials, things like that, but it's in line with pretty much what we were expecting.
So it was a level playing field for everybody. Everybody had ample time to submit their bids, and it was publicized in a manner that it was done fairly.
That's correct. It met all the requirements for noticing and all the requirements that go into a bid of this nature. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Sure.
Mr. Cervantes, do you feel comfortable with this item coming back on the consent, or would you prefer it to be in action?
No, consent is fine with me.
All right.
President Solis, I have one last question, sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. So a contract is not attached to this. Can you ensure that any contract includes provisions, liquidated damages, or timely completion of the project? I know we're in a pandemic and there are delays, but I want to make sure that we're aware of them and that we're holding folks responsible if there is a delay on this project. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
With that, I'll put the item on the next agenda as a consent, unless I hear an objection. All right, then, it come back as a consent. Next item.
The final item for information is item number 9, receive information regarding construction inspection services for Central High School Water Project number 1415-105D. Mr. Martinez.
And I'll introduce the item, and then Joseph will be available for any questions. So this is related to the project we were just discussing. Back in 2019, the district solicited several RFQ proposals from different firms for construction inspection services. One of those firms was Jack Barkley, RCI, and who was placed on the district's list back in February of 2019 as a contractor to provide construction inspection services. And so there is, along with this project, a proposal from Mr. Barkley for $92,500, again funded out of the same grant, and will be providing services that are required under this project. So again, asking for this to come back on February 8th for action, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Ms. Creel?
Is this cost, the $92,500, is this common for this type of project? It seems like a lot of money if the hourly rate is $75 an hour. I mean, do we expect 1,200 hours worth of work?
Yeah, so it's based on a time period of the project and looking at the scope of the project, yeah, it is appropriate. Mr. Martinez, I don't know if you heard the question, but just asking about the pricing on this contract and how it relates to the scope of the project.
Sure, yeah, the DSA inspectors, they're primarily based off of time length of the project. The hourly rate is a very reasonable rate for our area. I think it's a fair assessment for the duration of that project.
Thank you. I'm just always shocked by the cost of these inspections and oversight. Thanks.
Any other questions from the board? Since these two items were connected, I will put this on consent as well, unless I hear an objection. Hearing none, it will go as consent. Excuse me, Ms. Lopez. Moving on to the next item, N, advanced planning. Ms. Davis, do you have any information for us on this item?
Just a reminder that next week we have a facilities work session on Wednesday evening. It's not noted in this advanced planning, but I do want to remind you that next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. at the District Office, Room 4, is our special work session for facilities.
Thank you. Item O, additional information. Any board member have any announcements? Ms. Creel?
Can I just get clarification for the Wednesday evening for the community who may be watching or listening? That will not be broadcasted, correct? That's an in-person?
That's correct.
Okay.
There is an opportunity for comments from public at start of meeting, but it is an in-person session in Room 4.
Are we going to have a telephone line for those comments from the public, or do they need to be in attendance?
We have the phone line noted on the sheet that we can take a call in. Is that correct? I'm looking because we were just preparing the agenda right now. So yes, a call in can be made.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to confirm.
Thank you. On item O, any board members have any information they'd like to share? Ms. Davis? Nothing under this item. Okay, the next meeting is scheduled to take place on February 2nd. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion by Ms. Creel, a second by Mr. Chan. Roll call vote.
Trustee Brooks?
Yes.
Trustee Carrillo?
Yes.
Trustee Cervantes?
Yes.
Trustee Chan?
Yes.
Trustee Mayling?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
Yes.
Trustee President Solis?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
With that, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much for coming.
Happy to take the time.